Yes, sir, we can see the screen.
Okay. So, in the last class, we had discussed about the some shaft couplings. For example, the sleeve muff coupling. We have discussed about the solid flange coupling, which is also known as the marine coupling. We missed one aspect in this regard, that is the empirical correlations. So empirical correlations, as you can see in this figure, not much information is given. So I have referred another book, which is L. Mathur. It is mentioned in this footnote here. It is a textbook on machine drawing. So in this book, what I found is that there are tables available, and in from this table, what is there is different aspects have been enumerated. So you can look into these tables, or you can directly look here in this in the slides as well. So I'll just give you an example how to read this table. So generally the question is framed to draw a solid flange coupling for a given shaft diameter. For example, the shaft diameter is given as 70 millimeters. So what you have to do is you have to first refer to this table. So here for 70, all other parameters are specified. For example, flange diameter, flange width, then a locating diameter, recess depth, spigot depth, and so on. The pitch circle diameter is also given. What size of bolt has to be used, what will be the bolt hole diameter, and the number of bolt. So what you can do is you can correlate this. This may not be a very accurate drawing in terms of dimensions, but yes, the different aspects are captured in this drawing. So you can refer to these tables from this data book, which are provided in this slides. So I move to the next type of coupling that I had not discussed in much detail. That was the rigid flange coupling. The previous coupling, it is the solid flange coupling. So here what is done, the flange is basically part of the shaft. So the flange here and the shaft, so it is one piece. Okay, but in this rigid flange coupling, what is done, this is the photograph of the flange coupling here, and the shaft, it will come here, one shaft will come here, the other goes there, and you can see here a keyway is made. So a keyway, part of the keyway will also be made on the shaft as well. And then this flanges, they are bolted together, so they are bolted joints. So as we have discussed earlier, so they are bolt nuts and bolts uh, in place. Now the diameter of the shaft will decide the number of nuts and bolts in the similar way as in the solid flange coupling. So this type of coupling, in which the shaft and flange, so it is not one piece. So what I mean by not one piece means the shaft is a separate entity, the flange is a separate entity, and they are keyed together. So what we do here is we insert a key here. Okay, so a key is inserted. So this can be a rectangular key or a gib key depending. So this key basically is used to transmit power from one shaft to the another shaft via the coupling. So we had discussed some overview of different dimensions of this rigid flange coupling. So in this case, you can refer to these various dimensions here. Of course, I will also give you the table now. This was the drawing that we had discussed in an overview way. So in this drawing, you can see depending on the shaft diameter, all other dimensions are correlated with respect to the shaft diameter, that is D. This is diameter of the shaft. So this type of coupling, it is also a rigid coupling. Why it is called as rigid coupling? Because there is no scope to accommodate misalignment. So no type of misalignment can be accommodated in this because the bolts are rigidly connected to the shaft via the flange. But this type of shaft coupling, it is very good in transmitting power when there is no misalignment possible. And in this case, generally the number of keys, there are two keys used here, okay, key 1 and key 2, which are perpendicular to each other at 90 degrees. And again, this number of bolts which are there. So this number of bolts, here it is shown 4, but it can be 6 or 8 depending on the shaft diameter again. And of course, the diameter of the bolt and all. So all that information will come from this table again. So this is also from the same book. So what you can see is this will give you different aspects like hub diameter, pitch circle diameter, flange diameter, thickness of the flange, length of the hub, bolt diameter, and number of bolts. So what you will observe, as the shaft diameter is increasing, the diameter of the bolt, that is M32, it is a metric bolt, is also increasing, and also consequently the number of bolts are also increasing. So the dimension of the flange coupling, it increases with increase in the shaft diameter to compensate for higher stresses which are generated during the transmission of power. Now, next type of coupling that I want to discuss is the protected flange coupling. So, in this protected flange coupling, what is the difference? This is also a rigid coupling, okay. But what is the difference here? That there is a web on the flange. So, if you look at the cross section of the flange, so this flange, it is slightly protruded, or you have this type of web here. We call this thing as the web. And then, of course, here is the flange. Now, what you will observe here, that the bolts, so these are the bolts here, these are kind of covered with this web. So they are basically enclosed in this web. So generally, what happens at high rotating speed, the exposed bolts or nut and bolts, they may pose a risk for the operator or the people who are working around. Some clothes may get entangled in this type of rotating objects. So in order to minimize that type of chance, what is done, we cover the bolts, or we try to protect these bolts by creating a web on the flange. So that is why the name of this type of coupling is protected flange coupling. So what is protected here? These bolts which are present inside, they are kind of protected. Other details, they follows in a similar way from the rigid flange coupling. Means there are two shafts. So this is the shaft 1. Then you have the shaft 2. Okay. And you will see there is a keyway on the flange, and there is a keyway on the shaft, and there is a rectangular key and keyway is there. And of course there are bolts. So for example, here two bolts are shown from this view, but on the other side two more may be there. So the only advantage with this type of protected flange coupling is that the bolts, they are enclosed, partially enclosed, so a risk of entanglement of clothes and safety of operator is ensured. So these are some dimensional details of this type of coupling known as protected flange coupling. So the protected flange coupling, basically it gives safety from the rotating parts, because flange is modified, so the bolt heads and nuts, they remain inside the annular groove. So how that is done? By providing a web. Please pay attention to these terms. So you should know what it is called. A web is created on the flange, which will encase the bolt and the nut. So here if you will see, so the bolt head here and the nut is completely enclosed, and all other dimensions they follow from this figure, in which again d it is the shaft diameter. Again, the number of bolts will be a function of the diameter of the shaft, and of course, the as the diameter of the shaft will increase, the number of bolt may increase. Prior to that, the diameter of the bolt will also increase. So again, we have the data book table from here from the same book. So you will see as the shaft diameter is increasing. So in similar way, the bolt diameter is increasing, number of bolt is also increasing. I had to scan this from a hard copy book, so that is why this table could not come clearly from the book. So I have manually written what are the values from the book. So you can refer this and as well as the this dimensions from this drawing while drawing it for the exam or the assignment. Of course, the details of practical details or the problems with the SolidWorks software or how to pick different options will be dealt separately in the doubt clearing session. But in this, I am trying to give you an overview what are different aspects of the shaft couplings. Then we move to the next type of couplings, which are known as the flexible couplings. Now we had seen the previous couplings, they are the rigid couplings, but in most cases, while transmitting power, so there is a slight misalignment. So misalignment means the shafts they are not perfectly aligned in one line, or there is slight offset is there. Okay. So if you see the central axis of the shaft, so there is a slight offset. So this slight offset is known as the misalignment. So misalignment to certain extent can be tolerated by the couplings, but misalignment to a larger extent may cause damage to the system because there will be lot of vibrations and lot of wear and tear. So in order to have an arrangement which is slightly flexible, we have this flexible coupling which is somewhat different than the previously discussed couplings in a way that we have a flexible material. So all this black material that you see here, so it is a flexible material or say like rubber or leather, which is placed on top of these bolts. Now, when you lock this type of bolts with the nuts, so what happens? This flexible material, this will give some scope. So this will give some scope to accommodate the misalignment in the shafts. So misalignment in the shaft will be accommodated because of presence of this flexible material on the bolts. But this misalignment may be for a few misalignment up to a few centimeters, say 2 to 3 centimeters. Not centimeters, not exactly centimeters, yeah, millimeters. Centimeter may be quite large to for this type of couplings. And other details they follow in a similar way. You have the shaft here, input and the output shaft. Okay. So what is the conclusion? That this flexible coupling can accommodate the misalignment, and a flexible material like a rubber bush. So when this rubber is covering this bolt, so it is not, we simply won't call it rubber, but the exact terminology is the bush. And this bush is made up of rubber, so exact name comes as rubber bush. So this rubber bush, since it is a flexible material, it will compensate for this misalignment. And the rubber is generally put on the bolt and is housed in the hole of the other flange. So what is going to happen? This rubber is going to come in place here. Okay. And once the bolt protrudes out from this flange, so you will fix up the nut here. So nut will be on the exterior. So if we look at the details, that is the details of this coupling in terms of dimensions. So you can have a look at this drawing here. It shows the side view and the sectional view. Again, there may be a minimum of one key, but depending on the requirement, number of keys may increase. But by default, there will be one square key. So you can see D by 4. Again, D here is the shaft diameter. So a square key is in place. So shaft diameter with respect to the shaft diameter, all other dimensions of this flexible coupling are decided. So here what is done, the bolt is passing through this flexible material. Now since this is a rubber bush, so if you remember our beginning slides, so in that slide we had discussed how different cross sections made up of metals, non-metals, they are shown on the drawing. So what we discussed, the metals, they are typically shown by this hatched pattern. So 45-degree hatch pattern is there. But the rubber, since it is a non-metal, okay, so it will be shown by a different pattern. So this will indicate that it is a non-metal, non-metallic material. For example, rubber is there. So the bolt is passing through this rubber bush, and then it is bolted here from this nut. So any scope of misalignment between both the shafts will be compensated by the flexibility of this rubber. So of course, over prolonged periods, the rubber may undergo, this rubber may get deformed or it may get worn out. So periodically, replacement of this rubber bush may be required in this case. But all other details they follow from this drawing, and you can refer to this while completing the question based on this flexible coupling. Now I'll just quickly tell you about the last coupling that I am discussing. This is the universal coupling. So universal coupling, these couplings basically give the opportunity for the shaft to be misaligned over a wide angle. So I showed this figure earlier also in the other module. So here this is the input shaft. Okay. And here it is the output shaft. So you can see the angle at which these two shafts are placed. It is a larger angle, say 10 to 15 degrees of uh, misalignment, or the angle is there. So universal coupling generally gives this type of flexibility. So this is also known as Hooke's joint. So if the question comes to draw the Hooke's joint, it is same as the universal coupling. So in this case, there are two forks, and which are known as the spiders, and one fork is fixed to both the ends of the cross using the screws to form a pin joint. So I will discuss in the next slide how this works. And because of presence of the spider, so you can see here this, there is a cross arrangement in between. So this here, which is known as the spider. So presence of the spider is bolted from this direction, from the x direction and the y direction. So this presence of the spider, it gives a opportunity for free motion about one axis, while the other fork is fixed to allow movement at right angles to the previous pins. So in this way, the spider, it allows motion for the x in the x and y axis. So both the axes, the motion is possible. I will just show you some more schematics of this universal joint for more clarity. And then the spider, it is held in place by this needle bearing and bushings, which are there for reducing the friction at this pin joint. So this you can see the another view of this universal coupling. So where you can see there is these two forks are there. Okay. So pairs of forks. So this is one pair of fork. This is another pair of fork. And then in between you have this spider. So this is also known as center block, and there are pins passing through it. So pins may also pass, or we may also pass the bolts. And again, here is one shaft which is keyed here, and then this is the another shaft. Okay. So if you look at the exploded view of this universal coupling, so in the exploded view, you can see that this is the center block, also known as the spider. So the shaft, it is keyed here to this fork, and the another shaft, it is keyed here to this fork. This is the key. And then this is in the center block, it is passing from here, and there are two pins. So pin 1 and this is pin 2. And these pins are held in the place by using the collar and taper pin. So collar and taper pin will basically hold these pins in place in case these are unthreaded pins. So in case of bolts, again, nuts may be used to lock it up. But the flexibility of the universal joint is it can provide X and Y motion in both the axes to the shaft at a certain angle, agreeable, certain angle, say 10 to 15 degrees. So if we look at the universal coupling from the perspective of threaded fastener, so then there has to be the threads, both the internal threads and the external threads are of course present on the screw. So universal coupling is available in both the forms, means in the unthreaded when you use the pin, in case it will be threaded, so screw will be used. So this is a example from the book again, where you will see that in this case the square bolt is used, and the dimension of the shaft, it is 30 millimeters, and based on that all other dimensions are there. So of course there is no empirical values available to this universal coupling, but you can if the question is there, you can directly refer to these dimensions and draw the universal coupling for transmission of power between two shafts at an angle. So with this we complete the shaft and coupling module, and now I can quickly take up questions from you if there are any. So please feel free to ask if there are any questions from this content that we have covered.